So it's day 16 of Tokyo to LA the hard way, but for those of us on the Russian leg, it's actually day 7. It's taken us this long to get here, which is the start of the next part of our journey, the most difficult part. We're on a ferry right now out of Yakutsk, crossing the Lena River. On the other side is the beginning of the Kolyma Highway, also known as the Road of Bones. By 9 a.m., we're pulling on to the opposite bank, but it might as well be another country. Sparsely forested green fields and small farming villages flank the black dirt of the Kolyma Highway. But given our proximity to the Lena River and the way everything smells wet and fresh, it almost feels coastal. As if on cue, the skies darken and a light rain starts to fall. Joe Gresh, who has been scouting ahead, comes back to us, his bike and lower half spattered with black mud.
Just put both feet down and I can go along at walking speed, which works, but I mean, it's going to take us like 53 hours to get there, you know.
We arrive at the ferry landing before 5 p.m. Although it's the same setup as the previous 2 ferry loading zones, the vibe here is different. It feels more remote and a lot less civilized because of the way the cars and trucks are already lined up at the water. We're across the river from Kandaga. That's our final destination for this evening. We just had some craziness trying to get on this ferry. If you can look around, the cars are packed in. There's millimeters to spare between all the vehicles. We're the last ones on. We had to bump the Kizashi over to get the other one on. It's absolutely insane. The problem is that these ferries are really small. The schedule is completely unknown to everybody here. The trucks get priority because they pay the most money, and all the passenger vehicles need to jostle for position. A lot of elbowing, a lot of people talking, chit-chatting. We had some threats between some of the drivers and some of our guys, but we made it on. Once we get across the river, we're 30 clicks till home. It's funny what a couple of packs of Marlboro Reds will buy. We cross the Aldan in an hour and a half. It's 9:30 p.m. and dusk is settling in. The inn we stay at in Handaga is a bit run down, but cozy, like the town itself. We bunk 2 and 3 to a room and sleep in narrow beds with heavy down pillows that are incredibly comfortable. The sky shifts from bright blue to overcast gray, and it goes from hot to chilly in minutes. But the roads are dry enough that Joe Gresh can get back on the bike, and it's a great day to ride.
Well, we're back on the road now. The Road of Bones pretty much kicked my butt yesterday, but today's beautiful and dry. And if it gets the slightest bit uncomfortable, I'll just stop and they'll load the bike up again.
The surrounding landscape is like nothing we have in the US. We have mountain ranges of similar height and valleys just as broad and deep, but it's so verdant here. The stretch out of Handaga is wide everywhere and straight like a corridor, flanked on both sides by pines and brush. Although it's fast and beautiful, it's a bit anticlimactic. On longer stretches, we reach speeds of 80 miles per hour or more. We thought it would be harder. But the smooth corridors do give us time to consider what the Kolyma Highway is all about. It's not hard to imagine how difficult conditions must have been. The warmth and humidity of the coastal Primorsky Krai region has shifted to cooler temperatures and precipitation. The leaves are already starting to turn on the trees up here, and nights are colder and wetter. Since leaving Yakutsk, it has started to feel like winter, and this is the tail end of the Russian summer. As the roads start to dip and twist, we soon find ourselves on an exposed track abutting a rushing river. The water drains over the road in some places, making the potholes even deeper and eroding sections near the edges. This is the Road of Bones we imagined. As we blast across a bumpy straight an hour later, we come across another gut-churning sight. A massive crane truck turned over on its side, next to curling gouges in the black earth. And the madness continues. Our day concludes with our first major challenge, river crossings. Even fully loaded with Joe's bike, extra tires, and pulling a broken trailer full of food and water, the equator rides like a limo. So far, nothing has been rough enough to even bother engaging 4-wheel drive low on the transfer case. But this river crossing gets Fred emotionally erect.
Hi! We're charging very little to get across this river here. We're going to get one of the locals. We've got our Kizashis across already.
Fred and the equator are becoming heroes. It's been an epic day. We did 4 river crossings, drove through one and had some towing support from the equators through the others. We ended up here, having to camp tonight. There's really no facilities. We're out in the wild, wild frontier. As you can see, it's chilly. It's about 43 degrees, but that's what Far East Russia is in the summertime. We have 400 miles to go tomorrow if we want to get to Suzuki. If we don't make it, we will be camping again. But it starts going sideways before we even leave camp. My Kizashi's left rear tire has gone flat overnight, my first for the trip. We do a quick swap and head out just before 9 a.m. Less than 40 miles down the road, we have to stop for another puncture. The score so far? 5 tires lost between both Kizashis, and 1 on the lead equator. 5 minutes later, another rear tire goes out on the support Kizashi. We're now down to 1 full-size spare and 2 space savers for the 2 cars, and have more than 350 miles to go. It's frustrating, especially after our heroic efforts yesterday. The next village up the road is Ust-Nira. We find the tire shop and service as many tires as the little shop can handle. 20 miles out of town, the support Kizashi flats the left rear again. The count is up to 7, so it's a good thing we stopped. 10 miles later, we flat again, a right rear this time. Just as we finish changing to one of our spares, the other Kizashi swings by, and we find out it flatted the same left rear almost immediately after fixing the 6th. We've had a total of 9 flats today, 10 if you count the equator. This is the reason we've been pulling over every 10 minutes or so. Really sharp rocks, no idea what kind. As you can see, they're razor sharp. And on this stretch of road, they've come up after we passed by some road construction. We've only got 2 full-size spares left because the shop in Ust-Nira couldn't fix our myriad of slashed sidewalls and dented rims. So we're going to have to soldier on towards Suzuki and hope for the best. We pull into Suzuki after nearly 400 miles on dirt roads and find it shockingly desperate. The hotel is full. We push on for a few miles and find a rest stop tucked away from the highway. When we awake, we're relieved to find no flats to either Kizashi or any of the other vehicles. We hit the road by 9:30 a.m. in search of a city with a service center that can not only fix our tires, but do a better job than the guy we had yesterday. At the service center in the next village, we hand over the most salvageable of our wheels. But shortly after, our navigator Alan gives us some news that makes us nervous about reaching Magadan for the first time. None of the tires will mend, and there are no spare tubes, so we'll have to be dead gentle. The Kizashis have only 3 spares between them, and 2 are the space savers rated for no greater than 50 miles per hour on good roads. But our destination is close and spirits are still high. Just after 1 p.m., the second Kizashi loses its last full-size tire. They limp into the gas station on a space saver, and we give them our last 18-inch spare. We'd pause for the next obstacles, 2 quarter-mile stretches of flooded road, but only long enough to tape up the Kizashi's hood again. The equator stop at the opposite side of the second flooded river to help tow 2 ladies and their small van across. They return the favor with thanks and good information. Last year, they waited 3 days to pass this same flooded section of road, which speaks to the remoteness of where we are and the patience required of the travelers on the Road of Bones. There is only one way to Magadan. Pack food, water, and warm clothes. Hope for the best, but be prepared to wait. All right, here's the deal. We're in the home stretch. We're within 200 miles of Magadan, our final destination. And we felt like we could breathe a sigh of relief this morning. We had a rough night, a rough couple of days actually. And we thought we could just kind of cruise in on this home stretch. But the weather's turned and it's starting to rain, which is causing the river to rise. We've had 2, 3, I don't know how many river crossings so far. And the locals tell us we have to hurry because if it continues to rain, the river's going to get even higher and we may end up getting stranded. So we were racing to get here because we'd heard from some locals that the road was in danger of washing out. We rounded that corner and here's what we found. Indeed, huge washout. They're trying to fix it, but they say it could take as long as 24 hours. We do need to get through tomorrow though because these cars need to make it to Magadan for leg 3. 4 hours later, the road crew completes a serviceable detour. We're tired but elated to finally arrive after 10 days and more than 3,200 miles. We pull in just after 1 a.m. After the last few days, Magadan might as well be Paris or New York City. At least that's the expectation I have after hearing about this place for months and driving thousands of miles to get here. But after wandering about the city, its ghoulish history gives us pause. Only a few generations ago, going to Magadan was effectively a death sentence. It was not the end of an amazing and unforgettable journey, but the start of something awful and unspeakable. High upon a hill overlooking Magadan is the Maska Skorbi. This is the Mask of Sorrow, a powerful monument built to honor those who died in Stalin's gulags, particularly in the Kolyma region. It is a heart-wrenching tribute. Wander up the hill behind the monument and you can see how the mask looks east over the city and the Sea of Okhotsk. The same direction incoming prison ships arrived more than 70 years ago. Their holds crammed with scared and already suffering teachers, lawyers, doctors, commoners, and criminals. Tributes to the dead are common in all countries, but are usually built for those who fought and died in battle. Few countries construct memorials admitting the horrors perpetuated by one of their own leaders. From here, the cars get loaded onto a plane and flown over to Anchorage, Alaska, for the beginning of Leg 3.